Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today we're going to be talking about scams. We're going to give you tools and skills to protect yourself against from being scammed. So get a snack and something to drink and come on back and stay tuned. Sharon, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. You're familiar with the process and you're no stranger from our show. So why don't you introduce yourself and we'll just go from there.
Okay, well, thank you for having me back, Jesse. I'm Sharon Spots, and my company is Roseville West Services. I've been in senior care and health planning and management for years. That's my primary occupation.
Nice, okay. So let's just dive right into it. So today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about scams and what people can do to protect themselves. So what is your definition of scam?
Well, I don't know what Webster says, but basically a scam is when somebody's running some kind of a program or method to deceive other people, to fraud them out of money or items. And
or identity or something.
Identity theft, or there's just so many kinds, try to get, money out of them or get their identity so they can get into a person's assets.
Yes.
It's very scary how many scams are being run out there now. If you Google it, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful.
Yeah. Have you ever been scammed before or have someone attempted to scam you?
I don't think there's probably a person on the planet that hasn't been had an attempt. But fortunately, Jesse, I have a background in marketing and tech pubs and editing. So early in about the 90s, when the scams really started being more prevalent, I would get these emails, and it is so easy just to go onto the internet and copy a logo. You could copy the Bank of America logo just by putting your cursor on it and clicking it, and then you could drop it into a document. So people would do that with these emails. They'd put the Bank of America logo or Wells Fargo, something that's nationally known, and then draft up their own text and try to run the scam on you. But inevitably, I would spot typos and formatting errors, and so right away I knew this was not legitimate. One time I had one thing come through, it looked like it might possibly be legit, so I called my bank immediately and they notified me, no, it was a scam. So after that point, anytime there was one red flag, I checked it out, and so I have not been scammed, but definitely I know people who have.
I shared a story with you and we spoke the other day about how someone attempted to scam me. I got an email that supposedly, I guess they were trying to portray that they were Netflix. And the email read something like, your Netflix account has been
suspended
due to non-payment. And so they were trying to say that, because Netflix, they take the money out your bank account every month. And so I thought to myself, this can't be right, because I had just kind of went online and looked at my bank account and things like that. And I had just left from downstairs maybe like 30 or 40 minutes ago watching Netflix. And so I go upstairs and I get this message through email. And so, but the curiosity took over. So I said, okay, let me check online. And I went into my bank account and the money was there, of course. And then I thought, So I went downstairs and cut Netflix back on, and of course it was working. And I thought to myself that who in the world tried to scam me? But they wanted my information, my bank information to update it in so many words and stuff like that. But
that's just to get your account number.
Yeah, exactly. And if I would have failed for it, they would have had access to my, for my, financial information. So it's important that people know that, don't just automatically assume that these are familiar people that you automatically deal with on a monthly basis and stuff like that. I told you about one of my friend's mothers, and I think that, well, I'm gonna save this for something else, so later question down there. But just be aware that these people are out there, and you got to know how to protect yourself.
That's so true. It's really true, and there's common threads through most of them, and I think you touched on it. There's lots of different types of lead-ins that are all just trying to get your personal information, your Social Security, maybe a Medicare number or your bank account number, basically so they can have free access to your assets, to get to your bank account. Or your Social Security check.
So why do you think people actually, and I know this is probably well, I'm gonna ask anyway. Why do you think people actually scam other people?
I'm not a qualified therapist or psychologist, so I will just give you my opinion for what it's worth. Because
and I only ask that because for someone to put that type of time and effort into coming up with a scam, and for me, in retrospect, these have to be some very articulate people.
Yes, they're usually extremely bright people. And the reason I was chuckling is because I was married to someone that had that kind of mentality, and and you and I were just talking about if these people who are running these scams, and usually at some point they do get caught, but enough of them don't and do well with it. That's why there are so many scams being perpetrated. But I saw with him, it was a type of mentality. It just was a beat the system, that I'm smarter than you, and I, kind of a gambler mentality, and see if I can get caught. And then it could be laziness too. If it looks like this is a quicker and easier way to make a lot of money than the 9-to-5 job, I think that plays into it.
That's exactly right.
Yes, and I do know too that a lot of scams originate in other countries, oftentimes in extremely impoverished economic countries. So you could have some very bright, college-educated people there and not have still opportunities like they would have in a more developed country. And if they have the access to the internet, that's just an easier way for them. It's a path that they can get in to the riches of the developed countries without having to worry about immigrating.
But as we're sitting here talking now, my wheels are spinning, because not only do the general population get scammed, but government officials also get scammed. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because there are people that, because I grew up in the hood and all that stuff, and I remember growing up, and I know that people were quote unquote beating the system. This is what we call it, beating the system. And a lot of them was receiving financial, monthly finances or financial checks and food stamps and things like that. And some of them actually didn't qualify for it. They would use different addresses.
High percentage.
A very high percentage.
High percentage of government fraud, welfare fraud.
Exactly.
Welfare and disability fraud.
Yeah, exactly. And for those people that actually needed the assistance, some of them didn't qualify. And the ones that didn't
right, because they tighten the screws on that, and then the people that don't deserve it or need it are getting it. It's
so that's, and I just kind of thought about that being another form of being scammed. So what are some of the most prevalent scams that you think are out there today?
Well, it's interesting. The morning before I got the invitation from you to speak, I opened up my newspaper, which I always read with my coffee, and lo and behold, they were talking about a new scam that's been running around, hitting the senior population, the gift card scam. So that is one that is at the forefront. There's just a lot of them. I did a little bit of research, and I pulled up the 10 main ones that are going on today, but a high number of scams really do target the senior population because it's the largest cohort, largest percentage of age group. So by the year 2025, 25% of the population is going to be over 65.
Yeah.
And they're very trusting, especially the older seniors that are in their 85 plus group, 85 to 90 and 90s. They grew up in an era where people did business on a handshake.
Exactly.
They didn't have this kind of stuff. People were more honest. They didn't have scams and frauds. So they're more innocent, they're more trusting.
Yeah.
That and foreign-born
Yes.
people are really being hit now because they're not as sophisticated to all of this kind of stuff. A lot of them did not have access to internet and things until just more recently. And what I do not like to see, and I had personal experience with one of my best friends from the Philippines years ago. I mean, this was back in the 90s. I worked with her, and she came to me telling me how she thought her parents were being scammed.
Yeah.
And what happens with the older generation coming from a country that had a lot of harsh military law, the authorities, meaning police or government, strike terror in them. And as soon as somebody called and said, "This is the police," immediately just cold chills go through their body, and it's like, whatever, don't beat me, don't kill me, don't throw me in jail, and they have this reaction, this fear reaction, so they'll tell you whatever you need just to protect themselves or their families. And it was very hard for my friend to convince them that this was indeed a scam and a fraud. They were not used to that kind of thing, and it was a very difficult situation because of that. They're so trained to respond to anything like authority. So when somebody calls them and says, "This is the government, your social security number's been compromised, you need to give me your information so I can be sure, blah, blah, blah." And then they say, or you'll be arrested. Then immediately they just spit it out without thinking. And that is a real problem.
And I recently shared with you how a good friend of mine who is their family is from the I'm gonna say the Slavic community, and so his mom got a phone call recently, and the person on the other end that made the phone call, they was asking his mom for her personal information because they want to verify her personal information because they were trying to say something to the extent that, we need to verify your information before your monthly benefits because she get SSI, whatever it was.
That's one of the main ones going around now.
And it wasn't for monthly benefits, but they were saying they was calling for the Social Security office or something. They need to verify her personal information. So she was talking to them, and she ended up giving them her Social Security numbers. Now, meanwhile, after she did that, she realized, she said, "Oh, well, talk to my son and daughter," because she can, there's a language barrier there, because she doesn't speak English. But it was too late because she had gave them a Social Security number.
It to them.
And they hung up the phone and stuff when she made that statement because they were trying to get more information out of her. And and afterwards she cried and she felt bad that she had got scammed, but she really thought that she was doing the right thing, And I think that's why it's important too. Also, even my mom recently, with my mom, the same thing with her, and I had to tell her, like, look, you don't give nobody your information out on the phone. Don't give nothing out on the phone at all.
It's very important for people to understand that any government agency is going to contact you first in written form. They never call first. They will never, and I mean never as an absolute, never, ever, ever call and ask you for personal information. You will get a notification and then are told to, say if it's Social Security, told to contact the Social Security office, in which case you would go down in person and talk with them. But anytime anybody calls on the phone and ask for that information, it's going to be a scam. Your bank's not going to ask for it over the phone. Government agencies aren't going to ask for it over the phone. So that's a red flag, very important for people to know.
Yes, exactly. I have a friend who recently they were job hunting, and so they got they filled out they sent their resume in. And so I guess the people from the agency sent them an email back, and they were saying how they was impressed with the resume or whatever. And so they said, "We want you to fill out an application." So they sent them the application. Now, meanwhile, there was no communication on the phone at all. Okay. They sent them out. They sent them out the application, and most people that have that's representing the government agency or any form of agency, you can tell by the email, because the email will also always be
.gov or something.
Yeah, associated with the agency that they're representing.
Right.
And so with these particular people, I guess they must have like a Gmail or a Comcast email or whatever. So that was a red flag, and I was telling my friend that was a red flag. But my friend wanted to kind of push the envelope further, and so what was on the job application, they asked for a social security number. No, this ain't even the bad part. They asked for social security number. They asked for if you had any 401k, just all type of financial information. And I'm like, this is crazy, you know. And they asked for like previous employers, like what was your job salary, and it was just too much detail. So I said, okay, look, call them, because the person, whoever it was, had an email and a phone number, you know, listed at the bottom. So I said, call them and just kind of see what's what and stuff like that. But it actually turned out to be legit.
Is that right?
Yeah, it turned out to be legit. But I told my friend, I said, but if I were you, I still wouldn't push the envelope with it, because this is something that they need to learn to kind of, they need to edit or amend their job application.
Exactly. You ask the social security number if you need it as a company.
Yeah.
The person, when they're filling out their tax exemption paperwork.
Exactly.
But to ask on a job application, I would check with one of these companies that are HR consultants, because I don't know that would actually be legal.
To
do that. It's certainly not good practice.
It's not good
ethical.
practice. But
I would
it was
never
legit.
do. I would never fill it out.
It was legit, but I just think that they just, you know, it wasn't good practice. That's what I'm gonna say.
No, it certainly is not, because anybody could see those. I mean, if they don't take those applications and put them in the file cabinet under lock and key, anybody can be looking at that information. You have to be very, very careful, very circumspect about where you list your Social Security and who you give it to. I'm very, very careful about that, and I just will not provide that information. And I tell people, you know, as a person over 65, as an older adult especially, I will not give that information out for any reason.
Well, I wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have did it, you know, at all. But I wouldn't have did it for number one, because there was too many red flags. The fact that there was no phone communication, no verbal communication, that's a red flag. Number two, that they had a Gmail or a Comcast email, that was a red flag. And then number three, I'm like, you're gonna send us an application and all this personal information you want me to put down and send back. It
sounds like a scam, doesn't it? You know, these phony jobs out there that people are applying to, and they're just trying to get the information.
So it's important that people really, really, you know,
be careful and check things out. Check things out.
Be safe to be sorry.
Never give out a bank account number, anything. Always check with the bank, or, you know, with an agency. Even if you have to call or go into the Social Security office, it's better than, because the one thing I was thinking, Jesse, about your friend, you know, if you compromise your bank account number, you can always close out your account and get a new account.
Yes, you could.
But your Social Security number, pretty much you get that from birth, and it follows you your whole life for everything. It makes it very difficult. You know, to close it out and get a new one. Because who are you without your Social Security number?
Exactly. You know, I remember years and years and years ago, when you know how you go out and eat and you pay with your credit card, I was always paranoid in the beginning. When I first started dealing with credit cards and debit cards, I was always paranoid about them having it was a mental thing. Because,
and you turned out to be right. It turned out to be a real problem, didn't it?
It did.
Taking it and getting that number and using it.
Exactly. And so, you know, now I try to have, I mean, I do pay with my card a lot still, but I do try to have, if I'm more conscious.
Be careful with it.
Be careful, and then have cash on hand too. You know, so I could be mindful of that.
I like the restaurants, and I don't know if I'm supposed to name them, but Red Robin has the little machine right at the table where you pay with your credit card to get around the possibility that anybody's going to copy that number. And I think that's a great solution to that problem.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, I want to focus a little bit on identity theft.
Okay.
How do you think that identity theft affects a person's mental health? When because that can be a very tumultuous situation and process to kind of.
Quite frankly, I think having identity theft could make you crazy.
Yeah.
And I remember when it first started to be a problem years ago, I remember reading about an attorney.
Okay.
That had, this is an attorney, bright person, well-established practice. She had her identity stolen.
Okay.
She spent over 7 years trying to track down the person. Meanwhile, they were buying cars and houses, and she could not do anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know why she did not crack based on her story. It just was horrendous, and it took years and years and years. I think how she finally got to the root is she was tracing something back to, she was in Northern California, and she traced something back to Southern California.
Yeah.
She was talking to a deputy in the police force. It was a small town, and he felt compassion for her and her situation, and he gave her some information that led her to being able to find the person.
Yeah.
But up until that point, it was just a dead end. And at that point, I had a business associate and a friend who was into, at that time it was, it's now called Legal Shield, but it was
Prepaid legal?
Prepaid legal, thank you. And after a few years, they came out with the identity protection program, where you didn't just sign up to be tracked. If you had identity theft, they were linked and associates with one of the primary credit reestablishing company, and Brinks, security, all of those agencies, to be able to help you solve the problem and rebuild.
Yeah.
It was $9.95 a month. So I just said, sign me up.
Yeah, it's worth it.
And I didn't want to have to worry about it. And that was, I did my research, and that was the primary company, the best one out there at that time. Now there's many other companies, and I'm sure many of them do a really good job of it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes,
so I
exactly.
just stick with them. And I get these alerts, and you have not had any activity or blah, blah, blah. But I just have that peace of mind, Jesse, knowing I don't have to worry about it, because I have been in situations where I've just been in line for payment at a cash register. And you know how you start conversations with people and this subject comes up, and all of a sudden people are talking about identity theft.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and I've been, and the stories are awful, what people go through.
Yes.
I don't need that kind of hassle in my life.
I definitely agree.
So I just make sure up front. That's what I recommend to people. Get yourself established with one of these companies that tracks your credit and identity and protects you if something should happen, will help you clean it up and rebuild.
Yeah, I know Credit Karma is free, and people can sign up for that, and they can check their credit whenever they want to. And the Credit Karma is really good for sending updates. So if your score go up, your score go down. If you get a
yes, and
something on your
that's
score.
good, but it doesn't, I don't think, cover you with identity theft.
Oh, no.
But at least it's something
it'll
to,
notify you if you had any activity on your credit.
Exactly, especially for young people, because they're not at a point probably they're going to be worrying about identity theft in that part. Yeah,
exactly.
So anything is better than nothing.
Yeah. And even when people lose their wallets or purses and things like that, it's important for me, in my opinion, it's important to take immediate action. I've known people to wait 2 days. Oh, it's in my room, or it's in my car. Like, no, dude.
You know how fast you can be cleaned out? Oh my gosh.
Exactly. I've lost wallets, and I immediately get on the phone. And then I would go in my room and an hour later and find it. But for me, I'm like, it's better to be safe than sorry.
It really is, and it doesn't hurt to have fresh information, and just in case you did use a credit card and somebody got that number. Now you got a new one.
That's exactly right. So it's good to take action, and if you lose a wallet or purse, call your credit card company and cancel that card and get a new one.
That's why it's good to have that information somewhere stored. And you can get those little locked file, those safe, fire safe little boxes with the key and the lock. And I think it's important to keep that kind of information in that, because if you do have your wallet or your purse stolen or lost, and you go to call them. If you don't have the credit card number,
Yes.
what good
yes.
is it doing to call them? They're going to
Yes.
ask you, and
Yes.
if you don't have it, they're going to think you're the scammer.
Yes, exactly.
So have that information as a
Yeah.
backup.
And if you lose your driver's license or ID
Oh, yeah.
card, just go to DMV and always report that stuff. Always report stuff
Right away, yeah.
so that you have some type of record on file stating that this situation happened, just in case something happened or come back up again.
That's right.
You won't be liable for it.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
So I know recently, well, not recently, I know back in the day or a while back, they had a scam going on when you pump your gas. It was something where when you put your credit card in or something like that.
I remember reading about
something
that.
about that they could get your credit card number or your debit card number, and so that was a big thing and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
now even when I go into like stores or Walmart or wherever, when I have people behind me, I literally turn around and cover up, and people look at me like I'm strange. But that PIN number is for my use and my use only.
That's right.
That's
right.
And so I'm always trying to be conscious of things like that, because
That's
I think that
good.
people who fall into this category of trying to scam people and get over and deceive people, I think they have to work twice as hard to keep their scam up. Because people are always trying to come up with new ideas to fight against it and protect themselves and educate the community like we're doing, to just kind of, so that's important. So I want to focus on, I want you to kind of read off some of the updated scams that's going on today so that people can be aware of it.
Oh, okay. So I do have to apologize that I will be reading them off because it's a lot of information to memorize. So I'll just touch on it. But it's interesting that just before you had invited me to speak, it was that the new scams were coming out.
Yeah.
And as you know, the previous presentations I'd given on fraud and scam was for the senior population and at senior centers, because that was my business.
Yeah.
But the seniors really are targeted a lot.
Yes.
And guess what? And you told me this was for the general population today, but nevertheless, when I did my research on this, the number one scam reported to the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, the number one scam, Social Security benefit scam.
Wow.
People are getting calls and saying, your Social Security benefits are compromised.
Yeah.
And in order for you to continue receiving them and getting them, you need to press 1.
Yeah.
But what is really the kicker, it'll say, or you will be arrested.
Yeah.
See, that's what's catching people that are like seniors or foreign-born or people that just don't have experience in this area. They get scared.
Yeah.
And if that is your main source of income, they panic.
Yeah.
Oh, immediately press 1.
Yeah.
Well, when they press 1, it's a thief on the phone, and they'll want that person to confirm their Social Security number, right? And there you go. So pretty soon they're cleaned out. So that is the number one.
Okay, so with that, we're going to say that if anybody receive a phone call stating that your Social Security benefits has been in jeopardy or you're going to be arrested, that means that be aware that this is a scam and hang up immediately.
Anytime you're threatened about anything, that you'll be arrested.
Yeah.
When they say, or this, and it's a dire circumstance, it's a scam.
Yeah, yeah.
Without fail, it is a scam. And especially any government, any bank, financial institution, they're never going to call you.
Yeah.
They're going to send a letter because then they have the documentation on file.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly
If you have any doubt, say, I will get back to you, get their phone number, and try calling that number back. Usually it's not a legitimate number.
Yeah.
And then call the institution.
Yeah.
Don't respond. And I think it's very, very important to tell people, do not react.
Yeah.
Respond, which means take a deep breath, check it out, do research, call the institution.
Yeah.
Don't react and do what they say, press 1 or give the information. Never, ever. Even if it is legitimate, which we know it's not, but even say if it were, it's better to take your time and know that it's okay. So that is the number one benefit. And there's just since the beginning of 2019 so far, over $17 million worth of losses for Social Security benefits to people.
That's a lot of money.
It really is. Up until this year, the IRS was the number one scam.
Yeah.
But now that one, IRS tax returns and whatever refunds, all of the IRS scams are decreasing.
Yeah.
It's Social Security scams
Yeah,
now that are
wow.
taking over. And so there's another one that kind of goes along with that. The second one is there are people that are, well, first of all, you usually get the robocalls before you get a live person
Yeah.
on the phone, and that is another
Oh, yeah,
flag
yes,
too.
yes,
if
yes,
you're getting
yes.
a robocall
Yes.
and not a live person, they're just fishing
Yeah,
for
yeah,
information.
yes.
Yeah. So there's just other related Social Security scams in that, and it's all. Anytime somebody says I'm from Social Security
Yeah.
and they're trying to get any kind of information, whether they're saying it's been compromised or whatever they're saying,
Yeah.
it's not real. It's
Yeah.
a scam because they don't call you.
Yeah.
They just don't call
Yeah.
you. So that's one. And then anytime you have a natural disaster, unfortunately, you're going to have scammers. And
Yeah.
to take advantage of other people's misfortune,
yes.
to me, is one of the worst things you could do. But Hurricane Dorian, a lot of charities are being set up
Yeah.
to help them. A lot of those charities are scam
Yeah.
charities. Don't give online, don't give out of the goodness of your heart until you check out the organization.
Exactly.
And people can check it out just any time they think it might be a scam. I recommend going to ftc.gov. That's
Yeah.
for the Federal Trade
Yes.
Commission, and they will give you information on what's legitimate and what's scam.
Yeah,
They
and
need
most
to
and
check
most of the
that
time
out.
too, when you have a natural disaster like that, the local news in that area, they normally put up websites and phone numbers that you can actually donate
Or in
to
the
as
newspaper
well. Exactly.
too, or even online.
Yeah.
But still, you want to check those out.
Yeah.
Because especially online, that anybody could post those, and
Yeah.
that's where most of them do it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, they post those
Yeah, that's-
scam.
yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. And so and it's with the wildfires. That's another one.
Yeah.
Anytime we have natural disasters like that, you're going to have people setting up. And what leads into that's actually, way down on the list, but crowdfunding.
What's that?
When you have somebody setting up a crowdfunding, for instance,
GoFundMe.
the
and stuff.
GoFundMe.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of those are
Oh, yeah,
scams now.
yeah.
You have to be very careful with those. But
Yeah.
here's another one. Equifax just had a data breach in 2017.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and now there's been a settlement, and under their terms, people that had their data breached
Yeah.
can get a settlement. So there are these fake sites out there that say, "Oh, here you can file a claim." Well, you don't need to file a claim. That's the thing. So
Yeah.
anytime, there's another important thing for people to know. If you're asked to file a claim on anything, it's
Yeah.
a scam.
Yeah.
Because if there's a settlement, that means you just are automatically qualified.
Entitled,
If you
yeah.
can prove, if you have to fill out the paperwork or whatever that shows that your data was breached and you
Yeah.
might have had this loss, and you can contact, say, Equifax or whatnot, like ftc.gov.equifax,
Yeah.
and get the information. But if you're asked to file a claim, somebody of course is going to ask you for information that you don't want to be giving out. Here's another one, gift card scam. And that's the one I read about before you invited me to speak. A lot of it is targeting seniors, and
Yeah.
somebody will call and say, "Oh, Ellie Mae, I want to send some gift cards to a couple of my friends that really are in need, and I'm sick and can't get out. Could you go purchase a couple for me and send them to me, and I'll pay you back?"
Wow.
Or any kind of, some kind of reason why they can't get out and get it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but organizations are doing it, where these companies, these scammers are saying it's from a rabbi or a pastor,
Yeah.
from large churches. And they can do this by email very easily. They could go on to the website, take Bayside's logo,
Yeah.
or any large church like that, get their logo pasted into an email, and there you go. And so they will contact people saying they're a pastor, a rabbi, priest. Imam, is that how you pronounce that?
Who?
Imam, for the Muslim community, their equivalent of a pastor, priest,
I
as an
don't know.
imam or a bishop, say.
Yeah.
And they're asking worshipers for gift card contributions for a worthy cause.
Yeah.
They may be asking it for Hurricane Dorian survivors or the fire survivors or the homeless, because that's a big issue now.
Yeah.
So they'll be asking for gift cards for
Yeah.
these, and people get sucked into that
Yeah.
because they want to help, they want to feel good about their contributions, but they're not checking it out.
Yeah.
And okay.
I want to bring some up when you finish.
Okay, no, you go ahead.
So, and I am a believer, you know that, and you're a
Yeah,
believer as well.
yeah.
So what about, because there are a lot of scams going on in the church too. And I know this may be a sensitive subject for a lot of people, but I do want to acknowledge that I was actually watching a podcast about this the other day, and the lady, she was kind of talking about to beware of a lot of these mainstream churches, like these big names, big wigs, who have like a lot of jets and multi-million-dollar houses.
Send your money
Yeah,
in.
gold toilet stools and stuff like that. And you know, people who actually are at home, who may be isolated, may be homebound and things like that, these people are genuinely want to give and help into the cause that...
And they're not reading about what's really going on.
Right,
Remember
exactly.
Jimmy Baker?
Yeah, exactly.
And his wife.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Where all that money was going.
Yeah.
Even I found one of my favorite women who does a lot of TV programs that genuinely help people.
Yeah, yeah.
I found out that the first organization that sponsored her dropped her because of her misuse of funds. And you talk about the toilet seat. She spent $23,000 on a toilet.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
Plastic surgery, fancy clothes,
Yeah.
jets,
Yeah.
theme parks,
Yeah.
all of that. Where
Yeah.
is your money going? And I've known people that did not have much money, but
Yeah.
like you said, out of their heart, they wanted to give, they wanted to help. And
Yeah.
I think
And God will honor
that
that.
is, yes,
Yeah.
and I think it is so wrong of these big churches to take advantage of that. And you're right, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked at and I'm not going to name, a Christian TV station before I moved here to California.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, hey, so the way they had it set up was, so when you first got hired and stuff like that, when you go and meet the human resource director, she asks you if you want to give a portion of your check every 2 weeks. I told her no. I was very blunt with it. I was very honest and stuff. I told her no because I didn't feel the need to do that, you know. And so as time went on, the owner or the founders for this particular TV station, they were very offended at the employees who was not given a portion of their earnings every 2 weeks.
Did they give a report on where that money's being spent?
No, they did not. Oh, no, they did not. And so I remember when my boss had came to me specifically, and she called me in her office, and she said, Jesse, this is a true story. She said, Jesse, and I'm not gonna name the guy's name. She said, Jesse, such and such, you know, he was, I guess the HR, he had met with the HR director, and he was asking her which employees were not given a portion every 2 weeks, and until my name came up, and so they had to meet with her, and she said, you know, would you reconsider, you know, just giving something every 2 weeks? I told her no. I told her no. I work for this money. I own this money, and I told her no. So about that time, I had been in this TV station for a while. And so these people, when I tell you, and I am a believer, and I believe in giving stuff like that, when I tell you these people were some of the biggest con artists, these people, I'm telling you, these people had matching SUVs, him and his wife. They had so much materialistic stuff. They had like blocks and blocks full of property around town. Just so, I mean, they just had, because they was getting so much as money in, and they would have what you call like a praise-a-thon. And so they were people, and they were probably, a lot of their audience they would cater to would be like a lot of the older people. And they would sit they would sit like me and you would be sitting, they would be crying and say, if you don't send this in, you know, the bills won't be get paid. And so but part of my job was I had to work the praise-a-thon behind the scenes and do things like that. And that really bothered me, really bothered me. Oh, yeah. And I started to lose respect for the organization, you know, and eventually I you know, quit and moved down here. But that to this day, that still bothers me. And this is one of the reasons why I would never ever donate anything online to any ministry that I don't personally know about. I know, and I will name this, the Russian community specifically. They are really good at helping each other or helping the community with taking up donations and sending it back to their country.
There's going to be that one person
legitimately
who
that they're
bridges
legit.
that
Yeah.
trust
Yeah.
that's in the community.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen, whether it's certain religions or faiths or cultures where somebody is going to take advantage of that trust, that spirit of wanting to help and be, you know, a community and like-minded. There'll be somebody who takes advantage of that. I've seen that. I've seen that happen.
But my friend's aunt, she, you know, they're Russian or Ukrainian, and they're legit. You know, the aunt, she's part of a church and stuff, and you know, and not only in her church but outside the church, she gets donations and she's sending back to their country, and the people over there that in the country that she's sending to, they give her an update
there you go. If you're getting a reporting mechanism, that can establish credibility. But if you're not seeing any reports, anything that lists where that money is going or what good is it doing, then I would be very, very cautious about that.
And I'm not saying don't give and stuff like that, but
you want to be sure that it's going there. That's why, for instance, in my church, I was introduced to Compassion International to give to children in need in other parts of the countries. They do not spend millions on marketing. It's all word of mouth and through churches. I chose not to give to some of these organizations where the people come on screen and they get all emotional, crying, they show poor little children, and you know, and they're taking the money, and guess where it's going? It's going to their private jets and their mansions. And I would rather that my money that I'm giving go to the children and their families.
That's
you know, at Christmas they'll buy goats to help the families, not just the children, but the families. You know. So you just have to be very careful and check out the organization to know that the money is going to where they say it's going to be going. Because there's a lot of people that are very good actors.
Very, very good.
And they take advantage of people's emotions.
And even the people that's on the street that's homeless. So, and I'll tell you this story too. So the other day, I got so many stories.
Yeah, I know.
But the other day I was coming out of the restaurant and stuff, and there was a lady pulled up, and she had what appeared to be her mom in the passenger side, and she said, and I thought she was asking for directions, and she rolled down her window and she said, "Sir," she said, "can you spare just anything?" She said, "My mom just got out the hospital, and we have to drive to San Jose and blah 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 blah." And so I'm thinking to myself, and I kind of knew she was running a scam on me, but I'm gonna tell you what got me. That older lady that was sitting there passenger side, that's what got me, because she looked up at me and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I think I had maybe like $6 or $7 that you know on me, but I pulled it out and gave it to the lady anyway. But I kind of knew what was going on. I had a strong suspicion that I was being scammed, but that's something to actually watch out for too, because a lot of times, and this is one thing I do, if I see somebody out there that claim to be homeless and they say, "Oh, give me money for food and stuff like that," I'll tell them, I said, "Well, can I just go in the store and buy you food and bring it back out here?" And a lot of times they will say no. One guy, he was really honest with me, and I actually liked that, because he told me, he said no, he said, "I want the money to buy some marijuana." You know, and I respect him for that, because I said, well,
at least he was honest.
Yeah, I said, at least you're honest. I said, I'm not going to give you the money for it, but I said, at least you was honest, you know. So you do have people who will be honest with you as to what they want the finances for.
Professional begging has been around since the beginning of time. And I'll never forget one night watching a Sherlock Holmes, one of the old movies from the 40s, and there was a professional beggar doing this, you know. But fast forward to now, my sister was living in the Santa Cruz area, and she told me, because she worked in Santa Cruz, and she said, Sharon, I got suspicious when I saw this same person on the same street corner every day. And so the person would come in at a certain time and leave at a certain time, like it was a job. So she said, I followed this person as she left that corner, and I kind of followed behind her, and she walked a couple blocks. And there was a chain link fence with lots of brush. And then she ducked behind the bushes. And apparently she kept a bag there where she took the wig off, threw it in the bag, got the change of clothes, and
Yeah.
ducked back out,
Yeah.
looking like a different person, and walked down another block and jumped into a late model Lexus.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what it was. It was
Yeah.
the job for her. She
Yeah.
came to that point, ducked in the bushes, grabbed the wig, put on the clothes, went and begged on that corner every day, and then at night went home
Yeah.
and took the disguise off. And so there again, you have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're giving your money. If you have lots of money, I guess it doesn't matter. You just figure it's a crapshoot, basically.
but still,
some people you're going to help, and some money you're going to lose. But the average person, especially seniors that are on Social Security or people that are working hard for the money, a lot of minimum wage workers, they will be giving money out of the goodness of their heart, and to see it not go where they want it is really a shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because those causes, they do need it.
And those particular scams, they pull more on your emotions.
They do, and that's I think the root of it all is people preying on emotions, where they're trying to strike fear into somebody's heart that you're going to be arrested, that something's going to happen, or oh, we need the money to pay bills or for this and that. They're preying on emotions. You want to check it out. Because you have to have a compassionate heart but a business mind. When you're giving your money away, you give it to somebody that is going to actually do some good with it. To really be helping a person get on their own feet.
And that's why for me it's important. When I was telling you about my friend, for people like that I can give to personally, that I know who's doing the right thing with the money. I mean, this
where
woman,
it's gonna go.
She cooks, she donates just so much food. She cooks it for people. I mean, you just know she has a heart for it, and she's not getting anything out of it personally, but our self-satisfaction is to just give back. That's her gift, is to give back. And so it's people like that. I was telling my friend mom the other day. I said, I would rather come over here and give a few bucks or whatever it is, and have you to pass it on to your sister, because at least I know that it's going to a good cause, so to speak. Then look on TV and you have these televangelists with these big jets and yachts and all this stuff, and
they're very good actors.
They're very good actors, and then they're getting and they're telling people, we want a new building, and God's telling us about a new building in New York somewhere, but you got these big houses. I mean, that has always bothered me. So
I think, a lot of people feel that way. They just don't know how to go about giving to the right organizations. But with the internet now, it's so easy to find out information.
Yes, it's very, very, very easy.
Or just call United Way or something like, to find out what charities. If you belong to a church, ask the church staff, what charities would you recommend? Which ones should I stay away from? Find those legitimate ways to give with it. Even United Way, you have to be careful. I remember the big scam about that years ago, where they cracked down. The CEO had the big Learjet and the homes and whatnot.
Really?
And he got indicted, I do believe it. And Goodwill had a big scam. In Santa Clara, it was a big mess. It was a horrible big thing. So you have to be careful. Even though it's got an organization that has a big name, still check it out. That's why I like, again, that agency that I told you about, Compassion International. I know because I researched it. The money's going where they say. I've seen the reports. And if my church is collecting to donate, I know that money's going to that little church in Peru.
Exactly.
It's not going to be going to some other cause, with a hidden agenda attached.
Exactly. I know somebody that you and I know, that's a mutual friend, who's an older adult, and this particular person was given to someone or to a ministry in the Philippines. And I remember her telling me, she was so faithful at giving and giving and giving. But she told me one day, she said, and she actually stopped her giving. She said, Jesse, I remember this particular person, because they would call or email or whatever, and she said they started saying, Mama, we really need your help. We really need your help. And she said that that just didn't sit right with her. She felt so strong that the person started out right, their heart was right as far as what they was doing, but she said over time she felt like that they started to get greedy from the money that they was receiving, and now they start to manipulate the people and different things like that. And so when she felt that, she actually stopped giving. But even though they started out with the right motive in mind and stuff like that. So even with that, people can start off with the right motive in mind, with good intentions, but over time, you know, greed can step in.
It does.
You know.
I remember a politician in California years ago. Started out Berkeley, and you know, he was for the people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, probably.
Yeah.
He started out for the people and did a lot of good, and over time he became one of the greasiest and most corrupt politicians the state ever had. But you're right. People get caught up in the greed and you know, the corruption of it. It's, the Bible says it's hard for a rich man to get through the eye of the needle. You know, it's a lot of temptation.
Yeah, it is. It is. When you're dealing with money, for some people, it's a lot of temptation.
And that's why the person I was telling you about, you know, earlier, you know, she started out really doing a lot of good. She's still doing a lot of good, but now very flippantly she'll say, well, so what if I spend money on this and this and that? I give away so much money to so many people in, you know, impoverished countries, and that's true. But nevertheless, it doesn't mean that what you're doing is right. I mean, if this person's given their last $50 and thinking it's going to go help them and it's going to pay for your facelift, that's not right.
I will have a fear. I just, you know, for me, I don't know. Like I like to give. For people that know me, I love to give. I would take out the E. I would buy you gifts. That's just me. I love to give. So I don't have time to try to take advantage of anybody. I don't have a lot of whatever little bit I got. I want to share with people, and I want to bring some type of joy to somebody's life, you know. And so that's why I think it was, for me, it's important to raise awareness about stuff like this, you know. I mean, because you got even your own family members, your own friends, they would try to scam you and get the little bit that you got. I mean, this stuff is so wide, you know what I'm saying?
It really is. And I hate to see it, and you know, because we've worked together with the senior population for so long, but I really hate to see any vulnerable person, whether it's a senior, disabled, foreign-born, anything. I just hate to see anybody getting scammed, but especially the vulnerable.
Yes, exactly.
You know, because they really don't have the money to, you know, when they lose money, it could mean the difference between eating or paying their utilities or even rent. And
absolutely.
It's very important to know the flags.
Absolutely.
It's very important to know, don't give out any personal information over the phone or to anybody unless you know and trust that source. Go back to the main source, such as a bank or a credit reporting agency, whatever, Social Security, whatever. Check out, is this legitimate? If not, don't ever give out the bank account, Social Security, Medicare information, especially over the phone, or anybody coming to your door.
I know through the email I was reading that if you get something through email, and because there's like a link that you can tap that says unsolicited, or unsolicited my phone number, or unsolicited my email. And if you continue to get those phone calls and emails, that's a clear indication that you're being scammed. You know, because normally if there was a legit thing going on, then if you tap the link, or if you call and say, well, unsolicited my number or email, then if they stop that, then you know that it was potentially legit. But if you continue to be harassed,
then it's not.
Right.
And they're in violation of the Federal Communications Commission.
So one quick question, because we are all running out of time. So do you think that scamming is growing in our population, or do you think it's actually decreasing?
Well, I both think and I know that it's growing.
Oh, you still okay?
Yeah, not only do I personally think, but I know that it is.
Okay.
All you have to do is read the paper. Talk to the people around. I did a presentation one time on senior fraud and scam at a senior center.
Yeah. Okay.
And I asked people that, how many of you have had someone attempt to scam you? And I think probably over 90% of the people raised their hands.
Wow.
I mean, it's that prevalent.
Wow.
It really is. You can't talk to anybody that
Wow.
hasn't had, so I see heads nodding in the room here. Pretty much, if you haven't had an attempt on you, someone in your family or a friend, it is just definitely on the increase. I know when I research now, it's just overwhelming what's out there, as opposed to when I first started doing presentations on this subject. You know, it's just absolutely overwhelming. There's a lot of desperate people, and they'll try anything. They'll try running scams. There's a lot of lazy people, or a lot, as I said, the mentality, just, you know, we're going to see if we can put one over on you. You know, whatever their motivations, there's just a whole lot of them out there.
Well, we've run out of time, and thank you so much.
We can talk to the cows.
I
Come
know,
home on this.
I know, but thank you for being a guest on our show.
Thank you for having me, Jesse.
And that's it for today's edition of Mental Health Matters. If you enjoyed this particular topic on being scammed, or if you would like a DVD copy of this show, or if you would just like to be a guest on our show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.